Being a Christian is about the values of inclusion. Christian nationalism is certainly not based on the values of the gospel.
God wants America to be saved.
They're told over and over and over again that you're in danger.
You need to fight if you don't want to lose your country.
We are in a civil war between good and evil.
This is not a movement about Christian values. This is about Christian power.
What happens to the people who don't believe this stuff?
We are on the precipice.
God is on our side.
We're taking our nation back.
The thing that keeps me up at night is that we lose democracy.
Does that seem possible?
Yes.
That was just part of the trailer for the new documentary entitled God and Country, which looks at the history of Christian nationalism in America and how Donald Trump and members of the far-right media have twisted Christianity to fit their own political and financial agendas. Joining us now, one of the film's producers, Emmy Award-winning actor and renowned filmmaker Rob Reiner, and two-time Emmy Award winner director Dan Partland. This looks powerful and frightening.
Rob, we were talking about before we came on about, I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church, grew up evangelicals. There was certainly a reaction to what happened in the 60s and the 70s. Then there was sort of this return to normalcy in the church, but another group broke off. And I love the title, God and Country, because what we used to always talk about is God and country. Right. It's like we are faithful to our God.
Right.
And we are proud to be Americans.
Right. And the founding fathers.
But it didn't blur together.
No,
it wasn't God and country. And now Christian nationalism is not about Jesus.
No.
It's not about the New Testament. It's about pushing a political agenda.
Right. And if you look at the founding fathers and our founding documents, there's a clear separation of church and state. But when you talk to these people, these Christian nationalists who are on a drive to do anything, my way or the highway, they'll resort to violence. They will tell you face to face that there is no separation of church and state in the Constitution. They'll tell you right there. You can say to them, no, it's there. There are 3 times it's mentioned, very specifically, because the people who came to this country were fleeing religious persecution. They didn't want to have a national religion for the country, and they separated it. But they say no. There's no separate. It's not in the Constitution, and it's right there 3 times.
Dan, I was so horrified, as we all were on January the 6th. Again, as a guy that grew up in an evangelical church, most horrifying were rioters, people beating the hell out of cops that were holding up crosses and basically saying, Jesus wants me to be here. It was the most un-Christ-like behavior, and yet they're hiding behind the cross.
Yeah, I mean, you can justify terrible things if you can help yourself to believe that this is God's will. I mean, I think the hardest thing in making the film is just to talk about Christian nationalism, just to explain what it is. People I think they don't really understand what it is. It sounds like it might be 2 very good things. It's about love of country and about it being, honorable to your faith. But yeah, when you dig into it, and what the film tries to show is the ways in which it's not Christian at all. It's not a faith. If we can get people to think that it's a faith, then it's beyond criticism. Right. And then it's really hard to talk about in these kind of environments.
One thing that really angers Christian nationalists when I bring this up, Caddy, is the fact that when I was in high school, I always said, for 2,000 years, from the time of Jesus' birth through, not the breakup of the Beatles, but the breakup of the Eagles. Like evangelicals were pro-choice. Yeah. They were pro-choice. And then you had Wyrick and Jerry Falwell and Vickery going, we've got a Southern Baptist Democrat. We have to separate Southerners and Catholics from this guy. And so they said, we'll make up abortion as a religious issue. And they did. Just like that.
Yeah, it was a political strategy.
It was a political strategy hatched in 1979 to beat Jimmy Carter.
So we've got to the stage in America where I think it's more than half of Republicans think that America should be a strictly Christian country, which again seems to go against what was written in your Constitution, the whole idea of America for those people who are being persecuted. Talk about how that message the message of Christianity is being merged in social media and on right-wing talk shows with nationalism and has become almost confused. And so people who are listening to it perhaps don't even know whether what they're hearing is a form of nationalism or what they're hearing is actual spirituality.
Well, you know, we all live in our silos and we get our information. They are in the specific silo where that is told them over and over and over again, that those are connected. Something that you brought up, which is very important, that it was a political tool that they could use. But the beginnings of Christian nationalism didn't start with abortion. It started with race. When Brown versus the Board of Education, 1954, Christian nationalists, jumped on the idea that we can't have this. We'll create religious schools where we can keep black people out of those schools. But that's kind of ugly. To build a political movement around racism is ugly, and it didn't go anywhere. And it wasn't until, as you say, Falwell and Focus on the Vigary and these guys said, ooh, abortion. 1972, 73, Roe v. Wade. When that came on, then it was, oh, we can latch on to that. Yeah, we can drive that. We can use that as a political agenda.
But the thing is, they didn't latch on to it until there was a Southern Baptist who was a Democrat in the White House.
Right. No, and I think, on that question of race, right, it didn't work, then they went to abortion, but now they're kind of back at that, right? When you looked at as the trailer was playing, the one black person I saw was the person you guys spoke to, right? And so I guess a few more, but the one that
we have Reverend Barber in there, who basically reintroduces the ideas of Jesus and how great we can be if we do embrace Jesus' teaching.
And so my question is, when you think about how it's not just Christian nationalism, it's also white Christian nationalism.
Yes.
And I guess talk about what you guys found as you guys were working on this.
Well, I think race has been at the core of it from the center, as Rob pointed out. I mean, the modern Christian nationalist movement, I think it's safe to say, launched in the wake of the Brown v. Board of Education in 1954. But Christian nationalism was used to justify slavery before that, and it was used to justify segregation. Race has been at the core of this American version of Christian nationalism for a long time. But all of it, again, is ultimately serving a political agenda and not a faith-based agenda.
The documentary, God and Country, premieres in select theaters nationwide on February 16th. Producer Rob Reiner, director Dan Partland, thank you both very much.
Thanks.
And thanks for coming on today as well.
Thanks for having us.
All right.